Hi and welcome to my channel. So this is Bingo and she's a 3-year-old that I'm going to start. I was going to send her off to a breaker, but the quote was $4,000, and being a mum of 3 kids, I just don't have that sort of money to spend on breaking a horse in when I have so many others and I can do it myself. This isn't the first time I've broken in a horse. I just like to play with them for a fair bit. I'm probably up to about breaking in my 9th or 10th horse. I know in America they call it colt starting, but have always been told it's breaking in a horse, so that's what I call it. So I start off with my teddy bear. I call it Breaker Bear. It's from an ex, lasted longer than he did, and use it on all my breakers. I then put on the saddle. I use the round yard for this. I put it on, just give them time with the saddle. This was a fender that I had been given. I was going to jump on this fender, but then I found out it's way too small for me. So I just pop it on her and leave her. She spends a fair bit of time in it, getting used to it. She didn't react at all. She's probably one of the easiest horses I've started in a while. Not much phased her. Then I put my English saddle on. I like riding in an English saddle, so that tends to be my first point of call when I get on a horse. That is a beat bag on her and the bridle. I do a little bit of driving, teaching them the one rein stop. Do a lot of lunging, getting everything moving. The beat bag plays music when I'm riding, so that makes a huge difference. I like my horses to be used to lots of sound, especially coming from above. Now, I think you would have seen her slip. My round yard isn't the best, so you won't ever see me do more than a walk or a trot in the round yard. So I just get up on the step and bounce around, lay over her. She's kicking at the flies a lot. I do have spray on her, but it's not helping. I always try and make sure I've got someone there to help me. They hold her. That's my son. He looks really enthusiastic, doesn't he? But he helps me out, which is the main thing. And I make her move around, put the step in different spots, and I try and lay over and get them to walk me around on my horse. So I do this for about 3 or 4 days. I don't have to worry about time. My goal was to be on this horse within 25 days, and I met my goal. So luckily, not much phase Bingo. I just get on, off, lean over, get her used to pressure, get my son leading me around. If anything happens, that was awesome that the stool fell over. I got him to keep me moving, but if she reacts it anyway, I'm just going to slide off and hopefully land on the ground. As I'm getting older, that may not happen, but it just worked for us this time. So we spent a fair bit of time just walking around with me balancing. Then my eventual goal is to be able to sit on the horse, which I hope I do at this try. Yes, I do. I like to keep my balance forward, keeping down, and then suddenly I'm above them. Now I have another mare that I'm starting at the same time. I haven't recorded her on video. She's a little bit more reactive, so I'm only up to this stage, and that's been about 8 weeks. But Bingo is just a sweetheart. This didn't bother her at all. We walked around and luckily I had help. Now, not many people start in an English saddle. Most people talk about starting in a stock saddle or Western. I just find it works for me, and that's a good thing about when you start your own horses. What works for you doesn't always work for someone else, but do the best job you can. And, getting them going is tough. I find breaking in easy. I reckon the next probably 2 years of training is hard work. They will come across situations, you don't know how they're going to react, you will put them under pressure, and you just don't know how they're going to go. So this was our first ride on our own. I always lunge them when I'm first starting out, so that's why she's still got the halter on. And look, if anything happens, I can get off and lunge her again. So I just walk. I just want her to turn. I want her to listen. I want her to be responsive, she is. I want her to turn a little circle and go forward. Now I kick a little bit. I did get criticised a little bit on TikTok for having my spurs on. I have starting my horses in spurs because a bar race, I don't always remember to take my spurs off. I'm a mum of 3 kids. I'm lucky if I can remember my helmet. So I start them in spurs. I don't use my spurs excessively. They're just a mild tap and I keep her going. And you know what? If I'm going to get on at a bar race and suddenly have spurs on, I'd much rather her be used to them. So I now start them in them. Every horse I have has the same setup. And
I tend to jump from one to the other. Not everyone starts in a helmet, but I believe a helmet is excessively important. I had a buster when I was quite young and ended up in hospital. Ever since then, every time I get on a horse, I have a helmet on, and so do my kids. I don't let them ride in their Western hats. I strongly believe that a helmet keeps you safer, and if we can have safety at a fraction of the price of even ambulance cover or a trip to a hospital, why not? They save lives and they're brilliant. And if people like Fallon Table can use them, so will I. I think this is like day 3 walking around, so the idea is to get her moving. Now they do plant their feet. They don't know what's going on. So you're using your voice, you're using your feet, you're telling them to walk on, getting used to it. And I spend a bit of time, I think I spent like 4 or 5 days in the round yard before I went out to my arena. Going out to the arena is kind of scary, and you've got to be aware that around my place anything can happen. I have kangaroos that hop through my paddock at any time of the day, and sometimes the kangaroos will pick on a horse, so you have to be aware that they're going to be reactive. Here I am practicing my trot, getting used to me moving in the saddle because, hey, that's a new sensation. I had a horse that I actually tried of someone else's. I went to move forward like that in the saddle and it scared it. So you've got to be aware that you put all the pressure on them in the yard, get them used to it, because you don't want to be out in the arena and suddenly something happened. They go, oh, I've never experienced that before, and they go on you. Because you are starting a young horse. You have put all the groundwork in. You have put all the riding skills on. They are listening purely to your aids. Now, I did spend a fair bit of time. I reward. It's very important that you get them to move the feet. You have to have a one reiner stop established. I believe that's really, really important. Every single horse I have always has a one rein stop because it's your emergency brake. You never know when you're going to need it, and I've used it on some of my extremely experienced horses. They've gotten a fright or something's happened. I believe even I was at a showground once and a brown snake came across the arena. I needed my one rein stop. So you have to be careful. Walking her around, being as super careful as I can, but letting her get used to things. Sounds are important. She's had the beat bag on and she's just a sweetheart. I work very hard to get my brakes on. Obviously, she's getting used to me moving in the saddle and everything else. And she was just absolutely lovely. I feel that this horse is going to be a very sweet, quiet young mare. She is only 3. I don't normally break into 4. I like them to have quite a strong back and be very well established in their body, which this girl is, before I will get on them. It's up to everyone. So here's a different day. And again, I think I'm going to try a trot today. This is my goal. Now, I won't do more than a trot in my round yard. I'm very conscious of how uneven it is, and it can have a few holes. So it's something to be quite aware of. One day, if I do have some money, I'll improve it, but we make do with what we have. And I'd much rather start my horse than sit there and go, oh, my round yard needs sand. I need to save up for sand before I'm going to start my horse. So I'm a strong believer in get going, use the tools that you've got, and everything else will flow. So this is her, and guess what? We're out in the big arena. Absolutely stoked. My big arena isn't the best, but it's got a little bit of sand base, and I'm just going to walk and trot her in this. I do get up to a canter, which I'm super excited about. So the idea is just getting her to go around. My son at the moment, he's on another horse that's young, and we work them together. 2 horses are brilliant to help, because if anything goes wrong, you get them to go to the other horse. I'm just pushing and going around him in a nice big circle. And she was absolutely a sweetheart. I really can't say how quiet she is. I've talked to my mum. I've said, look, if she's not fast enough for my barrel racing, I really think this mare is going to suit you, so I will get her going, and she may even go back to mum. That is something that you've got to be aware of. Not all horses are going to be suited to barrel racing. She's not purpose bred for this, so we'll see how she goes. She does have a bit of reining and halter bloodlines in her. That's why she's so pretty. Well, that's why I think she's pretty. And she's just got the best temperament. But she does have quite a good turn. And seeing her in the paddock, she can have a bit of speed. So we'll see how we go. So the idea is getting her to go forward. Now, some people don't put the bridle on early. I do. I tend to make sure they've got everything and I've got my steering. So I'm just making her move forward and move her legs. I want to go front, follow her head. I don't want her to fight my hands. So my hands are being very, very gentle. I'm pushing her forward. She does have a miler snaffle on, and it's just a matter of turning around. She also here. Now I'm going to try and push for a canter, and as you see, I got a few steps. I was absolutely stoked. We cantered. I'm so happy I cantered. Now this was recorded on my pivot, so as you can see, it scans in and out. I did try and record some other sessions, and my little foal that's in the same paddock as her walked in front of it, and then it spent half an hour recording her, but that happens. I try to only ride my young horses for 15 to 20 minutes a day. I may be criticised. See, here's my little foal. This is baby Bling. And I tend to found that Bingo was not going forward. I've got a whip just to teach her to go forward and follow me. It was safer for me to give her a little tap with the whip than it is for me to use my feet and get off balance. I really want to teach her to go forward. I'm using my voice as well, saying walk, trot, and moving forward. It has been raining at our place, so you can see how wet the ground was. So the idea was only to walk and trot and maybe try a small canter in a safe spot. But I really wanted her to go around the barrels. I'm teaching her just to turn around things. I've also been going on the ground. I've been teaching her to get used to the barrels tipping over, because I was recently at a national championship on one of my top horses, and the barrel tipped over and he took fright. And I realised he's not used to knocking a barrel. So these things happen, and I don't want to knock a barrel and get really scared. And stay tuned for my next video.